So, I have a confession to make, which is around this time I go to Yellowstone National Park on a summer trip with my family. And we have a cassette of this album. And yes, all of our family, including me, sings this song.
I feel like a woman.
Sassy.
So, you want to join me in a round?
Yeah, do you get sassy when you sing this song? Which part do you sing?
Well, you can start, but I'll join you with Man.
Oh.
So you.
Oh, totally crazy. Forget I'm a lady. Your man shirt, short skirts.
Yeah, I like that part.
Oh, and man,
I feel like a woman. Bum, bum, ba-da.
Yes, you got the guitar part too.
Okay, so now I want to ask you about that hook.
Yeah.
The guitar hook.
Man.
So, when that song is produced, and we'll even forget the video, the trolling of Robert Palmer and Addicted to Love, but just the song with the words and your sound and the guitar hook, did you think to yourself, this is just going to be enormous?
I have to admit, I never know what's going to be enormous when I've
If you
finished
didn't know
writing
that was going to
something.
be great, you're the only person on earth who didn't know it was going to be great.
I think it's just, I try to get into the head of my personal fan self.
Right.
What do I want to listen to? What would I want to dance around the house singing?
Right.
But when you're first writing the song, there's no beat, there's no music, there's no production. It's just about the story and the lyric.
Right.
And the hook lyric, man, I feel like a woman, was very, very satisfying as a statement. And so that I could sense that might connect as a satisfying statement, exclamation for men and women. So
Yes.
I felt
well,
that
makes me
sense.
feel better because I'm a little embarrassed and I've told America that I'm sitting around in Yellowstone going, man, I feel like a woman.
My whole audience sings it, and it's mixed of men and women. So there's no words there. You're welcome to sing it anytime you like.
Well, let's start at the top. And in 1995, you have your big first hit album, The Woman in Me. And let's take a look at one of the videos.
All right.
It is such fun watching you. What do you think of that girl? What would you say to that girl?
Well, whenever I see this video, I think I was so naive in a lot of ways. I really didn't understand camera angles yet. I didn't understand how to make a video. It was all very new to me. It was early on, and so I feel like I was in a girlish way, still trying all of these things on. But at the same time, I was 30 already when I had my first hit off that album. So I had mental maturity, but I was still very, very new
One of the
in this world,
One of the first things that you hear after that album is, it's too sexy for country.
Yes, it was too sexy for country. I took a lot of heat for that. It was,
What did they say in Nashville?
oh, I'm a lap dancer. No, you can't show your midriff. You're going to offend everyone. You're going to offend the women because they're going to be turned off by it. You're going to offend the men because you have this attitude toward men. But I just had to ignore. I just had to go with my own vision.
Well, let's
in that.
Let's talk about your own vision, because the album in the first couple of years, it's sold more now, but in the first couple of years sells 10 million copies. And you said, that's great for country, but it's not great compared to Michael Jackson or the Rolling Stones. So what did you want to be if 10 million albums and a huge hit wasn't enough?
Well, going through all the effort to even get a record deal is huge. All of the work that I had done singing from bars, from the age of 8 years old, it had been already a very long road. So my intention was to go all the way on that road. I wasn't going to stop at just being a, for example, Canadian superstar or just being a North American superstar. I wanted to be a global superstar. And that meant that I was going to have to cross over because country music is not a global genre the way it is, in America. So I knew that there was still a very, very long way to go even after selling 10 million albums.
I mean, it's kind of a hard thing. You sell 10 million albums, you're a huge country star, and you're saying, no, that's not enough. I mean, was that hard for you, or did you just say, no, I'm not going to be bound by somebody's definition?
Well, because I had so much more to give. So I'm like, I've got more to give. Who's stopping now? Let's just keep going. Let's keep rolling with this. Let's see how far it will go. I had intentions to hopefully be a global success. Whether I would have gotten there or not, I don't know. I did. Okay, grateful. I'm very, very grateful for that. But it was more about just the intention. The intention was there. I had the energy to do it. I had much more music to write, more records to make, and a lot more ideas to share. So I just wasn't empty yet.
Then there is my all-time favorite Pink song.
Oh, I can't
Here
wait
it
to
is.
know.
We will never be anything but loud and nitty-gritty, dirty little freaks. Won't you come on and raise your glass? Just come on and raise your glass.
All right, you were singing Let's Sing.
Let's sing.
Can't stop coming in hot.
I should be locked up right on the spot.
It's so on right now.
You can sing.
Yes, a little bit. Not upside down.
What's
and
your
spinning.
favorite song to sing?
Well, this is one of my favorites. I love this song. But the thing about that song, it's so raw and it's so real. I mean, you're talking to me.
Oh, I love that. That makes me so happy. Yeah, I think we should all celebrate ourselves more.
You've got this album and you're going to go on tour this summer, starting in July, the Summer Carnival Tour in the United States. But you're also a huge draw, which I didn't realize, in Britain and Australia. Explain to us mortals, what's it like when when you walk out on a stage and there are 50,000 screaming, adoring fans? What is that like?
It's amazing. It's amazing. But it's an authentic, I feel like it's group therapy. We're having this amazing experience together. Music is an experience. Lyrics, you experience them in a sensory way. It's a memory. It's a song you might have shared with your parent or your child or your best friend. Music can, if you put on Don McLean, Starry, Starry Night, I'm in my living room with my dad. I'm a certain age and I feel loved and safe. Songs do that. And so in a concert experience for us 50,001, it's beautiful.
How do you explain your appeal? How do you no. How would you explain the fact that you have endured and in fact flourished as a rock star for more than 20 years?
I guess it depends on the angle that you come at it from. If you look at what I did as in business and decisions in my career, I have never sold myself short. And when I realized that I was never going to be selling perfume or the beautiful one or the popular one, it was put your head down, beat the pavement, and get really good at your craft. I'm very, very open, very vulnerable. I'm very honest in my lyrics and warts and all. And I fight for the underdog. I feel like an underdog a lot of the times. I know that's ridiculous to say, probably for someone in my position, but I don't know. We're just like little Rockies walking around, little scrappers.
You have had a remarkable career. 5 billion streams of your music, 25 number one hits, 10 in a row at one point. How do you explain it?
It's about the song. Country music is about the song. Like if your song is saying something, like we are talking about why I wrote Same Here, or why Summers is what it is. And that's the key to me. If I had any advice for anybody who wanted to do this, it's say something you believe or something that you really can't wait to perform and cause emotion with. And when you do that, you know, the rest follows. I've said all along, as a songwriter or not, I wrote most of my hits, but there's some I didn't. Anybody with those exact songs is probably a bigger star than me. I feel like it's always about what you're saying, you know, in our format at least.
Why do you think that somebody else singing your songs would be a bigger star?
They'd
than
have more charisma. It'd be a better, you know, they'd have the whole package.
you? But do you think you're charisma deficient?
Definitely. My wife does too.
I don't believe that for a minute. I think that the record would show I'm right and you're wrong.
Okay, well, I hope you're right.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about process. Which comes first, the words or the music, or does it depend?
For me, it's words. It's like I sometimes I'll have a great melody or something and say, well, what goes with that? But most of the time, I have a hook. It's like, you know, I had this hook, you know. I'd like to see you out in the moonlight. I'd like to kiss you way back in the sticks. I'd like to walk you through a field of wildflowers. And I'd like to check you for ticks. You know, and that was a number one song. And I remember playing that for the head of my label when it was written, going, they're either gonna drop me or this is a hit. And he loved it. And next thing you know, it was a hit. He was right.
Well,
But
you know, I might sing that to my wife. I want to
try
check you
it.
for ticks.
And it's literally, you're being the ultimate romantic by saying that to her.
I'm surprised that has not been picked up by some bug spray or something like that.
Yeah, what exactly?
Huh?
Right, off. Deepwood's Off, our next tour sponsor.
There you go. Your first number one hit was a song called He Didn't Have to Be.
Yeah.
And it was a tribute to fathers and stepfathers.
Yes.
Let's listen.
All of a sudden, oh, it seems so strange to me how we've gone from something's missing to family. Looking through the glass, I think about the man that's standing next to me. And I hope I'm at least half the dad that he didn't have to be.
I love the fact that you're playing along with the videos. We very seldom get actors or politicians singing along with the videos. You say one of the great things about country music is that you write something that's personal for you or for your songwriter, whatever, and it strikes a chord with so many people.
Yeah, that's a great example right there. That was not written to be a hit song at all. It was written with one of my best friends who is stepdad, and he had just gotten married with a 5-year-old. And we sat down to write, and I said, is there something in this situation, you know, that we can put pen to paper and write your story? And we did that. And the next thing you know, the record label was sort of just demanding I cut that and release it. And I was like, y'all are crazy. This is such a strange little niche song. It's a stepdad and a kid, and I don't know. And they said, no, this is, and the next thing you know, it was really, really affecting people. And I learned a lesson. I learned, you know, be honest and tell your story, and I think you'll find a lot of people share it.
So we just happen to be here with a piano, and take us a little bit inside your process. When you're sitting at the keyboard, how do you create?
I don't know the answer to that question. I think it comes from a place of you're inspired by an idea. You're inspired by something. Something comes to you. And when you're inspired in that way, it's like a clue. It's telling you, follow this clue, and it may lead you somewhere. Sometimes it doesn't. But okay, I'm here. So that's telling me more and more what it wants to be. The key is to listen and just be the vessel for the idea to come through.
And were you just doing that? I
Yeah,
mean,
that was just, no, that was spontaneous composition, if you want to call it that. I'm just making that up, man.
and honestly, was that something or was that not something?
That was, the ideas usually come in a more, it's a lot more casual and spontaneous how ideas hit you. You're reading something, or you're walking down the street, or you might be asleep and it comes to you in a dream, and you wake up and you say, oh man, I gotta go and do that.
Will you actually hear a tune, a phrase in your head, and then replicate it on the piano?
Yeah, most of the time it's not music though. It's I'm inspired by the idea of what I saw in a film somehow manifesting into a tune, or maybe it's something that I want to do in the world, and then that leads to a musical idea.
You came out with your latest album this summer, and you played one of the songs from that album on the Today Show.
Yes.
Here is Worship. The album is called World Music Radio, and the whole idea seems to be to surpass, tear down the barriers between countries and inside music.
Music is put into these categories, right? It's almost like little countries, genres. And I find that with music, that's not as productive as a little bit of of something that marginalizes artists when you're thinking, oh, I have to place my music in this way or create it in this way in order for it to fit into the market. Well, for thousands of years before that, music wasn't categorized in this way.
So can you show us how you can break a barrier, a musical barrier, go from one genre to another?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we were just messing around, being that we're at Juilliard, Beethoven. But the blues. Gospel.
That is amazing.
You know what I mean? That's
Yeah, no,
messing around.
I understand it intellectually, but now to see it, to hear it, to feel it.
Yeah, it takes both. You got to have the heart and the soul. You got to have the science and the soul. That's the thing that I love about music. You can intellectualize it, you can study it, you can go into the ivory towers and find all of the different nooks and crannies of it. But you know what? If it don't hit right here, all that doesn't matter.
I'm curious about your process, because I read somewhere that you said melody always comes first and lyrics come second. And I saw an interview with Paul McCartney recently, one of your songwriting colleagues, and he said he'll start with a chord and then he'll just start noodling around with the chord to see where that goes. Can you sort of define what your process is, or how you come up with a song? Because the melodies are great.
Thank you. Yeah, I always said I was a melody queen. I would start with melodies because that was like the catchiest thing in my brain. And I noticed in songwriting sessions, I was the one bringing in the melodies. And like, especially this album, I'm a mom, I've been through way more. And I went in like, I want to talk about bad for me. Like this love is so toxic and how I need to take a step for myself away. And I think it could help people. So for this album, I would sit at my piano a lot before the songwriting session. I would do homework and I would have an idea. And luckily it worked every single time, but I was like, I'll do a chorus and then I'll let the songwriters come in and we'll craft it together.
So I mean, like, give me an example. Give me, is it a musical phrase that you have in your head, or give me an example of...
Okay, so Made You Look, I was in the shower and I was like, I need my self-love confidence song, but I want it to feel like dum, dum, boom, doo, doo, dum, dum, like that world. And I'll literally be dancing in the shower and I was like, I could have my Gucci on, I could have my Louis Vuitton. And I was like, I wanted to dance like that, but what word would sound good with that? And it's a fancy brand. And I was like, Louis Vuitton. And so
That's so great.
And I was like, but even, I don't need all that stuff to be gorgeous. So I was like, even with nothing on it, I made you look. And I knew background girls go, I made you look, and scream in your face.
And it literally is just coming to you like that in the shower?
Yeah. And
Did you get a little waterlogged as this is going on?
Yeah, I was just dancing and it was great. And then I remember I was in the gym with my older brother and we were on the treadmill warming up and I sang it to him and I was like, is this trash or is this great? And he was like, that's fire, bro. And then the rest of the day he was like, I could have my Gucci on. And I was like, okay, there's something there that's catchy.
Gucci on, Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton, yes.
Is it true that it took you 45 minutes to write All About That Bass?
It was a quick write, yeah. It's like chemistry. Have you ever created something with a stranger so fast? I guess that's not a relatable thing. Songwriting sessions are like you meet and it's a blind date. So Kevin was this man who had a wife and a kid, and I was a 19-year-old kid just trying to write songs. So I was like, nice to meet you. Thanks for letting me come to your home and writing a tune with you. And we talked about where we're from and that I was a chubby kid growing up. And he said, I have a title, all bass, no treble. And I was like, you know what the kids say? We say, I'm all about that. So I said, let's make it all about that bass, no treble. And I said, let's say bass is my booty and this is treble, because I don't have nothing up here. And I was like, let's just be confident in our skin, which is so opposite of what I thought.
But I mean, the interesting thing is he was thinking about All About That Bass in a musical sense.
Probably.
All bass, no treble, and you're thinking about bass in terms of body shape and booty.
Bass, yeah. I thought like my thickness, you know? In that moment, we were like, how can we make this make sense? And I was like, bass, no treble. But like we made it, basically, we like that thickness. We like that body that you hear when you hear loud music.
You had the phrase, All About That Bass. Did you have a melody, or did that just come to you in the chorus?
We talked about, I think how we liked doo-wop music and we liked old school. And he played that tacky upright bass sound on a keyboard. It was just like doom, do doom, 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 doom. And he started making like record beats with it. It was very impressive. And I was like, by the way, I can rap. And he was like, what? And I was like, I can rap. So the first verse should be like, it's pretty clear, I ain't no size 2. And we were just like giggling. We were like, this is so funny and no one will ever sing this and no one will hear it.
It's all about that bass.
About that bass, no treble. And I know pop music, you want repetition, you want something easy. And I learned so much from that song, like after I wrote it. I watched babies like dancing to it in diapers on tables, like all about that bass. And I was like, okay, it's simple, but it's clever. Like grandparents love it and babies love it.
Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to CNN's YouTube channel so you never miss the best of my conversations. And you can catch the full interviews of Who's Talking streaming right now on Max.